Okay, you want to get smart on something interesting.
Yeah.
Right. But without digging through tons of stuff online.
Yeah, who has the time?
Exactly. So, welcome. Today we're doing a deep dive into something really specific and honestly pretty fascinating. Custom free shards for the classic game, Ultima Online.
Right, Ultima Online, or UO, came out in 97, kind of the granddaddy of a lot of modern MMORPGs.
For sure.
And these free shards, basically they're player-run servers, totally separate from the official game. But the really cool part, we're focusing on the custom ones.
Yeah, not just clones of old UO eras. These folks were building whole new things.
Exactly. Custom rules, totally new content, sometimes messing with the core game mechanics. It's kind of wild.
Totally. So think of this as like exploring alternate universes of UO, all built by players. It's a curated look at this really unique part of gaming history.
And we've got this great source, a big chronological report detailing loads of these custom shards, from the very beginning up to one still running now.
It covers what they did, their key features, even if their server files ever got released. We're going to unpack all that. You're going to hear some surprising stuff about player creativity.
It's really amazing, the inventiveness you see. It just shows how powerful UO was and how dedicated that community is,
Yeah.
This report really highlights how these shards became like little game design labs, pushing boundaries the original game maybe never would have.
Okay, let's jump back. Late 90s, the dawn of free shards, maybe.
Yeah.
Our report kicks off with Novus Opiate Seclorum.
Ah, nice. Yeah, active around 98 to maybe 2001.
And the player count was huge for back then, right? Like
Yeah.
600 to 1,000 people playing at the same time.
Massive for that era. And NOS wasn't just a copy. It was hardcore PvP, like really intense player-driven PvP.
Okay.
It ran on the early server emulators, software that lets you run these custom servers. This was even before Run UO got big. They later moved to POL, which let them do custom balancing.
So the tech underneath was still evolving fast then. Different emulators allowed different things.
Precisely. NOS was part of that shift. Their actual server files stayed private, but the report says their ideas, their scripting, it influenced later stuff on Sphere and POL, kind of laid some early groundwork.
Interesting. Okay, next up, early pioneer. Zulu Hotel, Canada, 1999. This one sounds like a really big deal.
Oh, it was. Groundbreaking. The report says it was the first shard to put a full race and class system into UO.
Wait, really? Because UO was all skill-based, choose your own path.
Exactly. Super open. Zulu Hotel, though. Dean Zulu Parker. They added Diablo-style classes. Mage, Warrior, Necro, you know the drill. Plus levels, EXP skills up to 130.
Whoa.
And custom spells, custom items for those classes really created distinct character types.
That's a fundamental shift. The report mentions a Zulu Empire expansion in 2001.
Yeah, built on that custom foundation.
Yeah.
And Zulu's impact was huge. It spawned tons of other ZH shards everywhere. South Africa, Italy, Brazil,
Wow.
all using that class and level idea, custom crafting. Even though the original code was private, the concept spread like wildfire. Really pushed shards away from pure UO skills towards more classic RPG stuff.
And people can actually check this out now. There's like an open source version.
Yeah, Modern Zulu Hotel for the modern UO emulator. Community effort, recreating that original vision, shows how lasting those ideas were.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, last one for the late 90s pioneers. Welt Pergon.
Yeah.
German shard, online since 99, and still active today.
Incredible, right? Over 2 decades.
How? Well, what makes it unique?
Completely different direction, totally custom world, custom systems, player-driven economy with like supply and demand cycles, a magic system made from scratch, nothing like UO's, big emphasis on roleplay.
But non-ARPers are okay too.
Yeah, the report notes that it really just became its own fantasy world, separate from Britannia, separate from OSI rules.
Not even the UO map.
Nope. All original. And yeah, given it's been running and evolving since 99, the server files are private, kept tight by their team.
Okay, so late 90s, the Wild West early experiments. Moving into the early 2000s, the report calls it the rise of community shards. What changed?
Yeah, you start seeing more established communities forming, bigger, more ambitious projects, maybe a stronger shared identity, like Imagination, IN1 and IN2.
Right, active 2001 to 2012. The report calls it a premier RP shard. Big following.
Very dedicated, and again, a completely original map. Custom lore, history, player-run towns, unique systems. Their magic and combat were apparently skill-based, kind of like the Sphere emulator.
And heavy RP.
Oh, yeah, and forced RP. But they still had PvP, big chaos versus order wars, but woven into the role-playing context. They even had custom races, guild religions, custom gods.
Wow, that's deep. Over 150 players peaked for a dedicated RP shard. That's pretty impressive community strength.
It really is. And here's the kicker, community-wise. When IN finally closed in 2012, the admins released the entire server code and scripts in 2013.
Oh, wait, the whole thing.
Everything. Super generous. Let anyone basically make their own copy, their own shard of imagination. It's on GitHub now. There was even a revival project, Imagination Risen.
That's incredible, like preserving digital history and letting the community build on it.
Totally. Shows that sharing spirit. Another big RP player from the early 2000s, Siebenwind. German language, running since June 1st, 2001. Still going.
Another one with amazing longevity. What's their deal?
Similar vibe to Imagination in some ways. Totally custom map, not Britannia, with all new art, custom cities. It's a medieval high fantasy setting, completely separate from UO lore.
That's you.
Is known for being really elaborate, RP enforced, won awards apparently. Custom professions, no standard OSI mechanics, even custom graphics and UI.
So they really built their own game on the UO engine.
Pretty much. And like Welt Pergon, still active, still unique, server files are private. Makes sense.
Okay, now the report brings up Neverlands. Also started in 2001. This one sounds interesting for loot and character progression.
Yeah, Neverland's got pretty popular, especially in Europe. Famous for magic items, randomly generated gear, added that thrill of the hunt, you know?
Like Diablo loot?
Kind of, yeah. And they also had an EXP and leveling system, but still within the UO Renaissance skill framework. So skills plus levels.
Interesting mix.
They also added new craftables, new resources to gather, global server events, made the world feel dynamic.
And there's a revival. Neverland's Heritage launched 2021. That's a big gap.
Right. Original shut down in the 2010s, but some vets brought it back on the modern POL engine. They specifically used the original Neverland scripts and items people remembered.
So it's a direct continuation.
Mostly, yeah. They added some new stuff, but the core, the magic jewel crafting, the PvP PVM blend, that Renaissance but custom feel is all there.
Yeah.
Heritage is closed source now, but it was built on those original files that kind of floated around the POL community.
So even without a formal open source release, the code and ideas can live on.
Exactly. Shows how stuff persists. Now, shifting gears a bit. Ichrontic Shard, or Ichrontic, active around 2000 to 2006, tied to the Ichrontic gaming community.
Marketed as Insomnia RPG. Sounds intense.
Yeah, suggests deep immersion. The report mentions enforced roleplay. Decent player base for the time.
What were its unique features?
Well, the enforced RP was key. They had player races, custom guild systems they called cults, unique deities playing a role in the world. PvP was part of the RP, like chaos versus order conflicts with actual consequences.
So RP wasn't just fluff, it drove conflict.
Exactly. Around 2004, they rebranded to Ichrontic, even tried setting up a multi-shard network by 2006. Ambitious stuff. But it eventually shut down late 2000s. Files stayed private.
Another ambitious project trying to deeply weave RP and mechanics together.
For sure. Shows the variety, intense PvP, deep RP, totally custom mechanics, all happening back then.
Okay, so we've hit some major RP and custom shards. What about the pure PvP crowd? The report mentions Blitzkrieg.
Yeah, Blitzkrieg. Early 2000s. Definitely PvP focused. They stuck close to classic T2A and UOR mechanics eras known for specific PvP feels. But they sped everything up.
Faster skills.
Much faster skills. No trammel the non-PvP area at all. Lots of free-for-all PvP tournaments.
Sounds chaotic.
Probably was. What's notable is who came out of it. A player called X-Lord X. He was a GM on Blitzkrieg, later founded UO Defiance.
Oh, okay. So Blitzkrieg, even if short-lived, was like a breeding ground.
Kinda, yeah. Shaped people and ideas for later big PvP shards. Its own files were never released, though.
Fascinating how these things connect. Speaking of which, UO Defiance, the report calls it game-changing. That's big talk.
It is, but fair, I think. Defiance ran 2003 to 2011. Hugely popular, hugely influential. The concept was UOR era with extras.
Renaissance mechanics, but with additions.
Right. Select features from later expansions, lots of custom balancing, tens of thousands of accounts over its life. They pioneered stuff like Past After Move, PvP mechanics, custom champ spawns for PvE, all on a big Feluca-only PvP everywhere world.
Cast after move. Yeah, that became pretty standard later, didn't it?
Huge impact on how PvP shards were designed after that. Undeniable influence.
And the files are partially available.
Yeah, which is cool. When they closed, the team released a big archive of their custom scripts on GitHub, the Defiance UOR package. Combat formulas, event systems, tons of logic.
Not the whole server, but the secret sauce.
Pretty much. Let others learn from it, even recreate parts of Defiance. Kept its influence alive.
Another great example of sharing knowledge. Okay, right alongside Defiance chronologically. Emporia Lim, the original IPY, first hugely successful post-OSI free shard. What does that mean?
Post-OSI meaning after the official servers really changed things, especially with Cramel splitting the PvP non-PvP player base. IPY, created by Azeroth, wanted to bring back that good old days feel, pre-Trammel open PvP, challenging but with new ideas.
What kind of new ideas?
Totally new stuff for UO back then. Player-run paladins acting as police, a murder tracker detective system for player justice, and get this, PvE instances.
Right.
Like dungeons just for your group. Never seen on OSI before.
Player cops and instances in 2003. That is forward-thinking.
Yeah.
Report says it was the biggest free shard then. Thousands of players.
Exactly. IPY proved a quality free shard could seriously compete with, even beat, the official servers in popularity and innovation. Shame it was short-lived, only ran till 2004.
File released.
Nope, never publicly. But Azeroth wrote blog posts about the concept, so the ideas got out there and probably influenced others.
So that early to mid-2000s period was just exploding with creativity and influential shards.
Absolutely. A real golden age in some ways. And things kept evolving as we moved into the mid to late 2000s. More specialization, more polish.
Like you gamers. Hybrid. Its longevity is nuts. Since 1999, still going today.
Incredible run. Part of the UO Gamers Network. They carved out a niche classic PvP experience, but with custom twists. Interestingly, it launched before Run UO was widely used.
Oh, yeah.
And the founders were involved in making Run UO later, so Hybrid was kind of a test bed. They mixed T2A UO mechanics with some bits from Age of Shadows, Power Scrolls, certain items. Famous for daily custom PvP events.
Tournaments, free-for-alls, and a dedust arena in UO.
Yeah. Creative crossover shows their focus on varied PvP. Historically, 15,000 plus accounts, over 1,000 online peak. Very dedicated following.
And Run UO, the core software they helped build, went open source.
Yep, in 2006. Huge deal for the whole scene. Hybrid's own custom script stayed private, though. They even relaunched in 2020 on a new engine, but kept that core philosophy.
Consistency seems key there. Then there's Yemo Divinity, focused on refining Key2A PvP specifically.
Exactly. Mid-2000s aimed for pure pre-UO combat, but with modern balancing. Feluca rules attracted really competitive players. People said its combat felt tighter, hit detection maybe even better than official servers at the time.
Interesting niche. Files.
Nah, never released as a full package.
Seems common for the really PvP-tuned shards. Now, ABC-UO sounds like the opposite end of the spectrum. No skill cap.
Totally different vibe. Ran 2003-2012, let you GM everything, plus faster skill gains, higher stats, changed the whole progression game.
What was the appeal?
Unlimited growth, maybe? They had content up to Stygian Abyss, plus their own PvE endgame new monsters, 150 plus custom quests, high stat cap, 350, lots of PvP tournaments too. Probably appealed to a more casual power fantasy crowd.
Like a character sandbox. Files released.
Not officially, though some script collections apparently got shared around after it closed.
Okay, then Age of Valor, Canada, 2006, 2014-ish, ran on the Mundane's Legacy client.
Yeah, ML-based with customizations, aimed for stable PvM PvP continuous development. They had a custom event system, unique quests, quality of life improvements over stock ML, balanced high-end content.
And this is one where the files are available.
Yes. Full server files were donated when it shut down. They're in Atrigod's archive on ServUO. Anyone can grab them.
That's awesome for preservation and learning.
Yeah.
A snapshot of a custom ML shard.
Totally. Now, shifting to Shards, still running today, UO Excelsior, online since 2006. Highly custom PvM shard.
PVM focus, and again, no skill caps.
Yeah.
Seems popular for PVM shards.
It's part of their friendly PvM environment philosophy. Welcoming space, balanced economy, controlled drops. They've added custom champ spawns, their own donation currency, ED, extensive endgame crafting 120 power scrolls for most skills.
So long-term progression.
Definitely. Semi-custom, high progressional is how they put it. Stable, long-running. Files are private, though.
Makes sense for an active shard. Then UO Evolution, 2010 present, report calls it one of the most content-rich custom shards. High praise.
Seems deserved. It's massive. Basically a huge custom expansion on ML Stygian Abyss foundations. Hundreds of unique systems, pet breeding, bioengineering, evolution, pets, gear socketing, augmenting, totally new crafting professions, new dungeons.
Wow, okay.
Daily staff events, no skill cap, 350 stat cap, fast gains. They just packed it with stuff. Big player base, 501,000 online, running over 12 years now.
Sounds like a UO sequel almost. Files.
Closed source, but they document their systems really well on their website and wiki.
That's helpful at least. Okay, now for something completely different. Kairos. 2008, 2020-ish, niche, hardcore role-playing shard in a low-fantasy original world.
Yeah, completely unique setting, nothing like Britannia. Original lore, races, storyline, ran on RunUO, but with a classless feat tree system for character building.
Classless.
And
Interesting.
some combat too, no insta-hit, custom map, artwork, RP enforced. Very specific vibe.
Sounds cool, but maybe not for everyone.
Definitely niche. But the big news with Kairos, when it finally shut down, the admin fully open sourced the entire thing in 2022.
The whole server.
Everything, scripts, map, code, minus player counts, obviously. They explicitly hoped others would use it to start new RP communities. A massive gift back to the scene.
That's incredible, preserving a whole unique world for others to build on. Okay, moving into the 2010s, revival and modern innovation. We heard about Neverland's heritage. What else?
Well, attempts to revive the legendary In Coriellum. IPOI2, the Second Renaissance, launched 2011. Azeroth again. Kept the pre-Trammel feel, but added new stuff. Piracy, justice system with paladins, detectives, PvE instances, even elected town kings.
Player government. Cool. Did it last?
About a year. Then in 2015, it came back again as IPY3 or UO, in Corp. Same core idea, added instanced PvP arenas, PVM rush challenges. Strong start again, but also relatively short-lived.
Tough to recapture that magic, maybe. Files.
Not officially released. Some IPY2 code supposedly leaked out, but nothing formal. Shows the appeal of those original ideas, though.
Definitely. Then Ultima Online Forever, UOF.
Okay.
2013 present. Prominent, long-running shard,
Right.
aiming for classic UO.
Yeah, but classic with many custom additions, like the report says. Fluka only, mostly Renaissance-based, but lots of extras.
Such as?
New dungeons like Oasis, achievement title system, regular champ spawns, cosmetic rewards. Big focus on PvP tournaments, factions, wars, but plenty of PVM too. Been very successful, large active community.
All's private, I assume.
Yep. Standard for active, develop shards like this. Keeps things stable.
Makes sense. Okay, Relpor. 2012-2014. Short-lived, but innovative. Smaller scale.
Yeah, interesting concept. Custom world map Atrio, scaled down for a smaller community. T2A inspired, tweaked UOR dynamics. Key thing was a dynamic town control system.
Player factions fighting over towns.
Constantly led to persistent warfare. Very sandbox feel. They even had an anti-railing system to discourage linear play.
Trying to foster emergent gameplay. What happened?
Closed after a couple of years. Only the client map files got shared around the ServUO community, not the full server code.
Neat idea, though, focusing on community size and interaction. And finally, Outlands. 2018 present. Hugely successful.
Widely seen as the top dog of the modern era, built on a T2A foundation but with massive custom enhancements to every aspect.
Like what? Sounds ambitious.
It is. Meticulously handcrafted New World, Avedon. New skills like real inscription, camping, overhauled crafting harvesting, aspect gear that levels up, optional PvE summoner class, automated seasonal events, just tons of stuff.
Oh.
Extremely polished, thousands of active players. The design goal was basically what UO could have become. Many players say it nailed it.
How UO should have been. That's quite the statement. Files?
Closed source, proprietary. Given the scale and ongoing work, that's expected.
Wow. Represents a real peak of custom shard development.
It really does. And then, as we mentioned, Neverland's heritage is still going, connecting back to a 2001 project. Shows that longevity.
So looking back at all this,
Yeah.
man, the free shard scene is way more than just nostalgia trips.
Oh, absolutely. This report just drives home how much original stuff these communities created. New maps, new skills, classes, items, entire game systems that OSI never touched.
And the sharing aspect is key too.
Definitely. Those open source releases, Imagination, the Zulu Hotel Recreations, Age of Valor's donation, Karis full open source, those are huge contributions. Even if most active shards keep files private now, that spirit of sharing and building on ideas is strong.
It really is like an alternate timeline of UO, as the report puts it.
Uh-huh.
Each shard a unique take, built with passion.
And it shows how player communities kept UO evolving in ways the official game didn't. It's a testament to player creativity and dedication, extending the life of a game they love.
Right. So quick recap. UO free shards. Way deeper and more innovative than you might think. Tons of player-driven creativity evolving the game beyond official releases. Hopefully this deep dive gave you a good shortcut into this cool corner of gaming history. Maybe sparked some curiosity, gave you a few aha moments.
Yeah, and it leaves you thinking, right? Like, what does this whole scene, its creativity, its staying power, really tell us about how much player communities can shape and preserve the games they care about?
Or flip it around. Imagine if the original UO devs had grabbed some of these wild ideas from the shard scene back in the day. How different could the official game have become?
Exactly. Food for thought. If any specific shard caught your ear, definitely dig deeper. Check out UO wikis, forums, maybe even those release server files. This dive, just scratching the surface of a really big ongoing story.